Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Jonny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, guys.
It's a new start, you know, a clean slate.
Yeah.
The world can be what we want it to be.
Oh, so full of possibility, Jonny.
It is. I mean, I'm full of possibilities because, well, how many beers have you had today, Brad?
Oh, I've had 0 beers. I've had 0 beers all week because I've got a man flu. But how many beers have you had today, Jonny?
I've had 21 beers today, Bradley.
Wow. Can we let people know what time of the day it is, or does that give away the wonders of Friday 5pm?
Well, no, it's 4:59. No, it's 12:56 p.m.
And you've had 21 beers.
Yeah, baby.
And you're not on the floor.
No, well, I mean, I feel a little bit buzzy, but actually they were all less than 0.5%. Some of them were 0.0.
0.0. So that is like, does that mean there's not even a trace?
Not even a trace of alcohol. And let me tell you, the ones without a trace of alcohol were pretty much the worst ones. But I won't give any more spoilers.
No.
I was filming next week's video, which is a blind taste test of a bunch of low alcohol and no alcohol lagers, a mix of like macro and some craft ones.
Yeah, nice.
I do have a bit of a buzz on. I don't know if it's placebo or like just 0.5 in that volume can start to catch up with you.
Were you drinking it with Brian Mulco then? Placebo, you said. Did you like Placebo as a younger man?
Of course I did.
I thought it was great.
I've got 2 ears and a heart, don't I?
Yeah. My friend James from school used to look a lot like Brian Mulco.
Oh, wow.
So he had the
very androgynous.
Same hair. He used to wear nail varnish. And yeah, he used to get kind of picked on a bit. But we were the kind of stoner gang. But he's a lovely guy.
Well, I bet Brian did as well.
Yeah, right? I'm sure he did. I reckon...
But he's laughing now.
I reckon Brian's proper little bitch, though. I reckon he wouldn't take anything. I reckon he'd probably scratch your eyes out with his beautifully painted
I don't know. I feel like he'd be more like, I'm going to write a song about you.
Do you remember, Jonny, just to go back in history, a little bit, do you remember when we used to work at Jamie Oliver? Brian Mulco's flat was opposite. Did you know that?
What?
Brian Mulco lived in the road that we worked on. I don't want to disclose his location. Yeah. Oh, you've just disclosed it.
I'm doxing him.
His flat was on, like, you could see him out the window. You didn't know that?
What?
Yeah, man. Yeah. He lived opposite
How
us.
did that never come? Why did you know that and I didn't? Also, why does he live in London? Why does he live in Old Street?
I'm pretty sure I haven't made that up. There were like fabulous flats.
It sounds
opposite.
Made up, Bradley.
No. He had. I swear, I saw him. There was like warehouse apartments opposite, and he was because there was like.
And that was the singer from Placebo.
Yeah, man, Brian Mulco. Because I saw him a couple of times on the street, and I was like, "Whoa, that's Brian Mulco." And then I followed. And no, I didn't follow him back home, but I saw him up in a window, and I was like, "Shit, he must live there." Cool, right? Very cool.
You've totally blown my mind there. I did not know that. I was a big Placebo fan in my teens.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So anyway,
weird.
I don't know why I didn't share that. Maybe, do you know what? Actually, I worked there twice, didn't I? at Jamie Oliver, right? So
Are you
I
now
work.
going to tell me you'd moved out by the time I started?
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it was the first time round, which I
Maybe
would
it was because some bearded, long-haired dude kept following him around.
have. I worked there when I was about 20, and then again when I was 30-ish. So it might well have been when I was 20-ish that you lived there. I can't. I'm a bit hazy, but when I was 20-ish and I worked there, Johnny, it was like something out of Nathan Barley. I worked at this very small little design agency. I say very small. It was me and my boss, Matt, one other guy, and I lived my best Nathan Barley life in that I had a BMX bike that I used to ride around in the office. In the office, Johnny. That's how big our office space was for two people.
Two of you.
I used to ride a freaking BMX bike around.
I like how we could measure your progress as a human and how you've gone from a BMX bike to spending whatever it was on your
e-bike.
Your e-bike.
Yeah, man. I've still got the BMX though. Got to keep it real. Riley Burner Mark II. With
do you ever ride it?
It's too pretty to ride, Johnny. And also, I took a really bad tumble off a BMX once when I was pissed, and I was riding it back from a pub without a helmet on. Don't do that, people. Don't do that. And
when I used to work at Jamie Oliver's, and I used to cycle to work.
Yeah.
And I was all the gear, no idea, Lycra racing bike. And there was a guy who used to cycle the same route as me on a BMX.
Lunatic.
Doing like Highbury and Islington roundabout on a BMX.
Yeah, it's wildness. They're pretty fun to just like hammer around on, but I mean, your legs get well tired.
Yeah, the gearing's not ideal for commutes.
No, but I went fully over the handlebars, and
it's easy to do when the handlebars are only a foot off.
Yeah, I was stood up because I thought I was having a great time. I was just like popping.
You're doing your Steven Spielberg E.T.
Yeah, it was like E.T. I used to rock around on it, take it to the local pub.
Was it like E.T. in that you flew through the air as well?
Yeah, but I came down. I went over the handlebars and then landed on the top, sort of back of my head. I can remember it quite vividly, which is weird because
which is unusual for head injuries. Yeah,
right. But I remember it. I can remember flying, landing, and then I had a seizure. So I properly really fucked up my head.
Wow.
So I don't ride the BMX anymore because I can remember having a proper seizure. Well, I say remember. I remember all of my vision going mental and like not being able to talk properly for a while afterwards.
You went to hospital though, right?
I'm pretty sure I went to hospital. I was living with my parents at the time.
You don't remember that bit?
Yeah, I don't remember that bit. I'm really, but like, as with a lot of blokes, I'm quite bad. I'm not saying I'm a blokey bloke, but I'm quite bad about going to like the doctor and taking care of myself. People out there,
I mean, you're more scared of doctors than the injuries and illnesses that you sustain that would
big time,
require
big time.
you to go.
Oh, big time. I mean, like I had a tooth extracted because I'm not scared of dentists. I just didn't want to go to the dentist, and they ended up pulling the tooth out, which they could have saved. So now I've got like one.
I've got to call you up on that. I'm not scared of dentists. I just choose not to be around them.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm scared of dentists. I don't know, Johnny. But anyway.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I came down the stairs this morning to the knock at the door, and I was like, I better run downstairs. I thought my girlfriend was still in bed next to me, right? Anyway, I ran down the stairs. And like something out of Home Alone, Johnny, I stood on one of her earrings that she put on the fucking step of the stairs. So
That's bonkers.
I had this. I've got a foot injury today now from having this bloody. It went properly in. I don't know if you've looked at how long the back of an earring is. They're quite long, and it was quite an interesting pain. It was quite sharp and immediate, but now it doesn't really hurt. But I was like, oh my God, what have I trodden on? I couldn't work it out for like a split second. And then I had to like open the door and act normal.
Had you extracted the earring by that point, or were you just ploughing on like a deal?
Yeah, no, I just like terminated my way through it and just left it in there, dangling. Jingling.
I don't think you should compare yourself to the Terminator after standing on an earring.
Well,
I don't remember that scene.
I think this is the first Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. We didn't do a Christmas episode, but this is the first Christmas ever. I didn't watch Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2. Didn't watch either of them.
Huh?
Didn't watch Die Hard 1. Didn't watch Die Hard 2. This is weird.
I watched Home Alone 1. I didn't watch
Okay.
2 or the Die Hards.
I mean,
Weirdly, my daughter loves Home Alone, which makes me quite nervous.
That is,
Like
that
she's
is
not
worrying.
a sit down and watch anything or read anything or just sit generally, baby. But she
Yeah.
watched most of Home Alone 1.
Wow. She's just plotting. She's like, when
Yeah,
I
I
can,
think- yeah.
when I can walk or walk more or whatever. I don't know she can kind of walk now, right?
She's walking.
Yeah.
She's walking. She's falling a lot. So that was an A&E trip we had just before Christmas.
Oh
but
yeah, blimey.
yeah.
But yeah, she's plotting what she's gonna do. She's taking notes, checking them twice. She's gonna find out who's naughty or
which
nice.
injury from Home Alone would you least like to sustain?
I mean, it's got to be.
I mean, there is a nail
brick,
on the stairs one, isn't there?
The brick on the head, or the nail
Yeah, I
on the
mean,
stairs.
that should kill a person.
The nail on the stairs is like, oh, that's a real clencher. It's a sphincter clencher.
Yeah.
That one.
I've had a nail go through my foot. It wasn't great.
Well, mate, yeah, that's pretty brutal. No, I wouldn't like that one. But so it's the brick getting thrown off the rooftop in Home Alone 2, and it's the massive metal paint cans that
Paint
he
pots.
slingshots down the staircase, and it just twats him in the face and gets him on the way back. Both of those things will kill you instantly. And if you go on
But maybe
YouTube,
that's better than taking an iron to the forehead.
irons
You
to
know,
the
'cause
forehead's
that
pretty
iron's on.
nasty. The
Yeah.
iron's on. I mean, there's if you go on YouTube and you can search out, someone has made these amazing edits where they're like, if this were, it's the Home Alone films, but someone's put special effects onto the faces after they've been twatted with the paint pot and getting their head caved in with the brick. So they're like really brutal edits of Home Alone.
Oh, so it's what they would probably
Yeah,
more
yeah,
likely
yeah.
look like.
Yeah, so it's like if Home Alone was real life, but they've used real footage, they've put special effects on it, and they've got like voice samples of Kevin being extra demented and saying all kinds of crazy shit and just laughing, and they're cutting to him laughing and whatever. They're very good. They're very good.
When I watched it this year, I had a bit of a revelation. I didn't realise that that his brother's in it, that he's the little one that wets himself.
Yeah, man.
And that now obviously he's in the Incredible Succession. So when I looked at him, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
And
like.
he's funnier.
If you think he's funnier,
Like every line he gives is absolutely killer compared to Macaulay Culkin.
yeah, but he doesn't get many lines. I can't remember
Or
what is
Macaulay
his
Cul-
name.
What is it? Macaulay Culkin or Macaulay McCulkin? I can't even remember.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
What
Did
a
I
name.
did I tell you I tried to buy tickets to see Macaulay Culkin's band?
He had a moment, didn't he? Like I
yeah.
don't know, a decade ago or something.
Then they
something
cancelled.
pizza.
Yeah, it was the Pizza Underground, I think they were called.
Right. And they were a Velvet Underground covers band.
Velvet Underground covers band, but every song had a pizza themed name, I believe. Like they were all like Velvet Underground songs, but all the names are being changed to pizza references, I believe. I'm trying to Google.
You know, sometimes I wonder whether the paint pots hit him. You know,
Right.
it wasn't
Well-
just the others. Anyway, Bradley, this is a beer podcast. Come on.
No way.
We're 13 minutes into the new year, and we
wouldn't
haven't
be-
mentioned beer once.
Come on, it wouldn't be Friday 5 p.m. if we didn't waste half of it with ramble chats.
Well, so this is a good chance for me to plug our annual survey, which is doing the rounds at the moment. I'll put a link in the show notes where you can go and give your feedback on the beer industry itself generally, and also on Craft Beer Channel. But it's so funny. A couple of months ago, I had a bit of an existential crisis. It was like, what are we doing with Friday 5 p.m.? What are we adding to the world? Should it be longer? Should it be shorter? Should it have guests? Should it not? And the feedback back then and in this survey, which you can complete, is so divided. It's the Brexit vote all over again. It's 52% make it longer, 48% don't, basically.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say everyone's like, it's perfect. It's the zenith of Craft Beer Channel broadcasting. You're saying nearly 50% want it longer. I
Yeah,
thought we'd gone
and
through
the other
this before,
50% don't.
and everyone was like, "No, it's great. Leave it the same length."
No, it was
This
pretty
is
split the first time. So I mean, maybe if it's that split, it means it's the right length because everybody's
yeah.
we've gone
It's gone down
we've got the
middle.
balance.
It's a compromise. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it.
But
I think
anyway,
that's
if
right.
you have views on this, you can fill in the form. There's lots of other questions. You can influence what we make for the next year, and that links in the show notes. We should talk briefly about what we missed over Christmas. Obviously, we didn't do a Friday 5 p.m. on the 23rd of December because our families would have killed us. So we finished it a day early. So we did the Christmas annual
show.
Christmas show,
Yeah.
which was great fun, in which we somehow mistook Brighton Pavilion for St. Petersburg.
Well, I did. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well, yeah, I went with you.
I
went
don't know
with you
why.
hard.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me that it could be Brighton Pavilion.
I mean, see, the blame is partly on me because I know where Umbard are from, and I don't know whether you knew that they were Brighton based.
I think in the sort of midst of time, I knew they were Brighton based, but in that moment of madness, I totally forgot, and I just thought, I was like, oh, it's got to be a comment on what's going on in the world, you know. So it's like Godzilla crushing down the evil in the world right now. But yeah,
We literally cannot keep politics out of beer.
totally
Which is something
wrong.
I've been fighting in today's video, which we'll get onto in a bit. And then we did our Christmas live show with the Amazing Brew York, which was absolutely amazing. One of the
that
best
was
we've
good.
ever done, I think.
That was on the 22nd, wasn't it? I believe. Was it 22nd?
That was indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
was,
we were
it was
getting
my
real
my
close.
last bit of work for the year, and what a way to sign off.
Yeah, man. It was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah. So I'm hoping we'll go see them this year and maybe brew them together. Certainly do a feature on them. They have a birthday in April time, I think we might possibly go up for. But yeah, really, really impressed with them and the beers, and really appreciate the effort they put into it. And I hope you all had fun at home as well. And you can still watch that show. I'll put a link to it.
Nice.
Yeah. But let's leave 2022 behind, because generally it wasn't great for the world. And let's talk about how good 2023 is going to be with our video, which is big in 2023. It tailed off. What did you think of my predictions? Were you just nodding along to be kind, or are you backing them even weeks later?
I think they're all pretty sound. I don't think there was anything totally mental in there. I'd like the idea of trendy maltsters becoming real hipster guys that are sort of swanning around and, you know, riding BMXs without helmets on, with hugely long beards into malts, into the grain stores, around grain stores. Sorry, do you remember that giant zoomy machine thing that was drying the grain? Was that a crisp that we saw?
Yeah, crisps.
It was like the only one in Europe or something. It was like some,
roasting.
and they told us it must have been about 100 feet high. It looked like sort of like a space elevator type thing.
There were two of them. They looked like two giant slinkies that were shaking.
Yeah, it was mental, wasn't it? It was like really metallic, and they told us the grain like gets fired up it and then like comes down and anyway
drops down like in a sieve. And
this
yeah,
that's peak maltster craziness. So yeah, I think I like that idea that people are going to be more interested in the grain that's going into their beer.
We had some interesting comments based off of that, which was a bit of a ball drop for me. But also, you know, we filmed that start of December, so people weren't talking about this quite so much yet. But 1985 James Ward says, weird there's no mention of malt rocketing up in price too. It's going to be a rocky year.
Yeah.
Probably why the death of the Dipper and Tipper is coming, which is possibly the case. But yeah, so of all the price increases that have happened as a result of Brexit, of the Ukraine war, of global heating, which is reducing, you know, the availability of a lot of crops. Malt is one of the worst for it. So malt's been really affected. The costs has, I think, for most suppliers in the UK, it might have tripled for certain specialty malts. The only thing that's worse than that is CO2, which is quintupled, which is fucking ironic given that CO2 is what's causing global heating. Yeah. But hey, yeah, so my prediction that malt will become more trendy, you know, might be kicked into the long grass by the fact that it's also suddenly got significantly more expensive. So we'll have to see how those two things, malt was about to have a moment and then had to put their prices up so high, how much of an impact that's going to have.
I've just started watching Yellowstone, Johnny, which is very, very epic sort of show about a cattle ranch in Yellowstone, on bordering Yellowstone, right? And it's just made me think about, are there any breweries in the world that grow hops and have fields of barley and like make everything in house? There aren't, are there? Is that because
there's loads?
What, they do everything themselves? They have it all, so they're totally self-sufficient. They've got everything they need.
Sorry, totally self. No, they can't.
Like, I'm looking
not on
at,
any scale.
I'm thinking of like people like the alchemists and like the people like that have got these amazing approaches to nature and to sort of responsibility and maybe capturing CO2 and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, are they in? I mean, he's not in a region where you could potentially grow hops, but is there a sweet spot somewhere where you could just have all of that in house and you're like totally insulated from world?
I mean, there are hops in New England, and there certainly were back in 100 years ago. There were a lot of hops growing around there, and I think a couple of new experimental hops are coming out of. Damn, where was it? I want to say somewhere around like Cleveland, maybe, or something. There's there's a
like
hop farm somewhere that's doing some quite interesting stuff.
Really?
Possibly Ohio, yeah.
Ohio is called the flyover state, isn't it? Because it's boring as hell.
I think there's a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But so there is stuff going on, and there are definitely breweries that, particularly also in Germany, a lot of breweries would grow their own hops or potentially grow their own barley. The issue is, would they process it themselves? So are they self-reliant? Are they growing enough? If they have bad harvests, it's very, very, very hard to go sort of totally off-grid. And obviously, CO2 recapture is incredibly expensive. Energy, you'd have to have a mother load of solar panels to do all that yourself. So there's breweries that do as much as they can, and there's lots of those. But I don't think there's anybody of any scale that's 100% self-sufficient. I'm not really sure that's possible with a product like beer. It's too complicated.
I for a short period of time, I used to have an allotment in Brockley when I lived in Deptford, but I had to give it up because of work and other life things that were happening at the time. But it was kind of like by the railway tracks on this hilly bit. Brockley's very hilly. And it was kind of woodlandy. I'm like, if I still had that, could someone potentially grow their own hops, their own barley in an allotment or in their garden and do like home brewing with all of that stuff? Do we have the climate?
So we had in the homebrewing competition, the Now IPA, we had lots of people using their own homegrown hops.
We did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, and actually when I was when I did my talk at BrewCon and I had a little craft beer channel stand and was chatting to people and letting them sniff new varieties of English hops, had a bunch of people come up and say, like, show me pictures. There was one guy who'd built probably I don't know, 20, 30 foot high scaffolding and was growing hops up in his garden, and it was like on the boundary with his neighbours.
I bet his neighbours love him, yeah.
Well, I think he said he's okay with it because he drinks the homebrew I make.
Oh, okay.
So I think some kind of deal had been struck.
Yeah. Wow.
There has to be
someone else out there doing this on a commercial scale, surely. That's what I want to find out.
Well, yeah, I mean, if people listening know a brewery that's doing that, fully self-sufficient, we'd love to tell that story. That'd be that'd be super cool. Before we move on from the barley, another comment from Jordanians.
Yes.
Who says, just a quick thing that I thought was interesting to clarify. Do certain barley varieties have to be kilned to a specific roastiness, or will we see Hannah caramel, Hannah Pilsner malt, Hannah chocolate malt? Or is caramel from the same barley and all Pilsner malt from the same barley variety? It's a great question, and the answer isn't that simple, but essentially, particularly with the heritage varieties that are coming back, they're only being lightly kilned because what you don't want to do is disguise their unique character with heavy kilning or heavy stewing of those malts. So most of the specialty malts are generally kept pale, like roasted to sort of Pilsner or pale specs, and then stuff like Planet, like these really big, very efficient malts are then roasted in a special way to get all those different kinds of varieties. But that said, in the past, Marisotto was the dominant barley variety in the UK, and it would have been roasted to whatever specs were needed. So I guess they all can be roasted that way, but these days we're not doing it with the special ones. I just thought that was a great question. Did you find any good comments?
Yeah, I've Mr. Rougelot, who we read out a lot of here.
He's got a good hit rate
on the Friday 5 p.m. He's just very witty, and I like his little sort of Pringly looking icon man with a top hat. He's always coming out with the zingers, but this time he's pointed out, I think we are possibly the greatest generators of beer names in the world, right? Because in this video, he's pointed out all of our absolute zingers, one-liners, and he said, "Coming to a bottle shop near you, mission to SARS." Which one?
Got to have been done already.
No, I don't think so. That came to me on the spot.
I can't believe you didn't pick out Interstellar.
I know, right?
As the follow-up.
No, I know. Less slaps in my face. That was me. Trendy Maltsters. Also me. And loud. I don't know how you pronounce it. You said a weird pronunciation of low alcohol. It was like loud.
Yeah, low alcohol.
Loud alcohol. Loud
yeah.
alcohol, he said, which I think is great. And Death of the Dipper. And then he's put that in brackets, I've met your mum. Cheeky. Those are all great, man. I'd definitely pick up a bottle of Mission to SARS. I'd pick up a 4-pack, a 6-pack even of Less Slaps in My Face. I'd have a sort of big, oversized bottle of Trendy Maltsters and a little skinny can of Loud Alcohol. I think they're great names. They're great. All of them are great, Johnny. We should just give up what we're doing and just come up with... We
sell names to breweries.
Consultancy for names for their beers, right? We just do that. Easy.
Yeah.
Or we could do a sideline. We just coming up with that. Churning them out.
Well, if you're a brewery listening...
Yeah, pay us for those names, please.
Yeah, I was going to say feel free to say names. No, we'll come for you if you do. We'll come to you with an invoice.
Trendy Monsters.
I feel like, I can't remember what it was we said, but somebody made a homebrew and named it after something we said in one of our episodes.
They did.
They sent me a picture. I can't remember what they called it.
It was a good one as well.
Yeah, I'll have to dig it out and I'll tell everybody next week. But yeah, so if you haven't seen our predictions for 2023, they're pretty bleak, some of them. But hopefully, necessity is the mother of invention. So I hope that some new exciting styles and approaches will be coming out of it. We had lots of comments that also were people saying, we think this is going to be big. Lots of talk of thiols, which... Garage Project down in New Zealand, their founder has been working on. It's essentially, I think it's a genetically modified. Is it genetically modified? It can't be because then you wouldn't be able to use it in the UK. But it's called Phantasm. It's a powder that's full of these things, basically flavors of wine, flavors of a very particular of Marlborough, Sauvignon Blanc, I think. But it's full of basically flavors that really complement with beer, and it's literally like a turbocharging powder you can add to your beer. And people think that's going to be really big this year. I think that's a longer term trend.
Didn't we have that with Clawhammer? Didn't he bring over something with Phantasm in?
He did bring over a Phantasm beer he made, and it was the aroma popped.
It did.
There's no denying it.
Yeah,
and that's just on his homebrew scale. Yeah, so it's an exciting prospect. I believe there's lots of technical issues that brewers have got to get around to really make it work, to do with like re-fermentation of certain things, and the powder only has the precursors to these thiols, these flavors, and you've got to sort of break it down and all this kind of stuff that needs working out, which is why I didn't pick it for this year, because I think we're going to see some experimentations. Every month some new brewery will do one, but it's certainly not going to be a trend. And lots of people said we were wrong about the death of the Dipper, but we'll all see. I
hope you're wrong. I feel like, well, man, this brings us on to the cost of all the ingredients as well, right? So that is, if anything, that is going to be the death of the Dipper, because they're so fucking expensive. All the ingredients that go into it.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I think ABVs are going to drop, because breweries are going to see that, if they want to keep people coming back, probably a £6.57 can direct from the brewery is going to be a big ask for people. But I mean, we'll see. It might be quite often. The whole craft beer movement in the UK, at least, happened. Kicked off most in like 2010, 2011, when we were in the depth of austerity. The global crisis was still pretty horrific at that point. So craft beer, very expensive beer, got popular at a very financially restrained time. So who's to say that won't happen again this time? And actually, our the survey that we're doing, I can give you some sneak peeks of the results. So we asked, one of the questions was, how are your buying habits going to change as a result of the squeeze on cost of living? And actually, the proportion of people saying they'd either buy more or buy the same is 78%.
Wow. Do you think...
So 22% saying they'll buy less.
I think that's because we all need a little bit more comfort, don't we? And to sort of, if we can afford to in any way, kind of get a little bit of joy out of life and treat ourselves with the things we love most. Little treats like, whether it's a nice meal or a nice can of beer that you've been wanting all week long, whatever it might be. I think when times get difficult, the little things mean more to you, right? So...
Yeah, I think craft beer's always tried to sell itself with the idea of drink less, drink better.
Yeah.
So the people that have done that, maybe, they are going to drink less, but they are going to spend a bit more when they do. So, yeah, who knows how it's going to play out, to be honest, with that one. But I still think that the Dipper, generally tastes to getting a bit tired of of the slaps in the face, as you put it. So I do think that perhaps a shade of reasonableness is going to is going to creep into beer drinking. I mean, if you're a cask ale drinker who loves 4% golden ales, then a 6.5%, 20 grams per litre dry hop IPA is not sensible. But to many people, that's positively austere. So yeah. Anyway, that's about all we've got time for this week, Bradley. Have you got anything else you need to add? Have we got anything we need to plug?
I don't think so. Only that we got lots of exciting projects on the go to sort of throw us into 2023.
Yes, we do. We are headed to Munich in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 damn weeks, Johnny. I'm off to Barcelona again for my girlfriend's 40th birthday this time next week. So there won't... Well, Bradders won't be on the Friday 5 p.m. next week. So I just need to say apologies.
I'll see if I can get a guest or something.
Yes, guest.
So I'm not doing my just a minute.
Don't get anyone better than me, please, because
who could be better than you at not talking about beer for 30 minutes?
Oh, that's a good point. Many people, I reckon, are pretty good about talking about beer. But yeah, man, I think hopefully this year maybe we're gonna have a turning point. I don't know, Johnny. I'm trying to be optimistic here. Have you seen?
I didn't say anything. You talked yourself out of it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a better year.
I think it's going to be great, right? I think if we all want it to be a better year, then it can be a better year, right? We all go into it with a better attitude.
Power of will.
That's it. We can fuck off the Tories or whoever and just make things better. Be nicer to everyone else. This is the sort of thing we say in December, but it's just as important in January to be a better person and go forward into the year with a more optimistic stance and joie de vivre or whatever. Enjoy your life. Life is short. Drink great beer and have a good time if you can. And stay warm. And yeah, we love you. And sorry I'm not around next week, but I'm sure Johnny will find someone perfectly adequate.
I could have put it better myself. I will see you next week. Also, the video is just me. It is that blind taste test. So it's a Johnny heavy week. I do apologise. Some of the feedback in the survey was also more Brad. So we'll start on the more Brad after next week. How's that?
Sounds great to me. Beautiful.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you have a great time in Barcelona, Bradley. I'll see you when you're back. And I'll see everybody else next week. Cool. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.